Today, we're going to talk about Iceland. Yes, the country, also known as the bad guys from Mighty Ducks 2. But today we're not talking about Pacey from Dawson's Creek. We're talking about Iceland and the potential of volcanic activities in what is one of the most dramatic landscapes out there, which is largely caused by two very unalike things: glaciers and volcanoes. These live side by side, like odd roommates in a sitcom. Now, picture this. A volcano in Iceland is on the brink of eruption. We're not talking about a tiny burp of lava here. We're looking at a mile-long pool of molten rock under a town ready to say hello in the least friendly way possible. This isn't just a local problem. This volcano is eyeing up important infrastructure and a fishing village like they owe it money. The town of Grindavik has turned into a ghost town, with everyone packing their bags, leaving town, and hoping for the best. Imagine a 15-kilometer magma corridor under your feet, stretching to the Atlantic. If this thing goes underwater, we're talking about an ash cloud so big it could throw a wrench in air travel and mess with the atmosphere for weeks. The ground's cracking up, buildings are getting makeovers they didn't ask for, and scientists are measuring ground swelling faster than my waistline at Thanksgiving. Let's dive in. As a country with 32 active volcanoes and located on a tectonic plate boundary, Iceland is no stranger to volcanic and seismic activity. The country sits atop the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a massive underwater mountain range. This ridge is a boundary where the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates are slowly drifting apart. This means Iceland is literally being pulled apart by these plate movements at about 2.5 centimeters per year, making Iceland one of the most geologically active places on Earth. Now, the real kicker is Iceland's location over a geothermal hotspot, a deep earth area where magma bubbles up. Combine this with the divergent tectonic plates, and you've got the recipe for volcanic eruptions. And Iceland has witnessed some dramatic volcanic eruptions throughout history. One of the most famous ones is the Laki eruption in 1783. It was one of the largest volcanic eruptions in recorded history, with impacts felt globally, from climatic changes to widespread famine. And it's not just about eruptions. Iceland's very landscape is sculpted by its volcanic nature too. Features like the geothermal Blue Lagoon and the striking basalt columns of Reynisfjara Beach are direct results of volcanic activity. However, this dynamic geology still leads to urgent situations, as seen in the latest events. So what's happening? Well, Iceland on November 11th declared a state of emergency, mandating that citizens evacuate the town of Grindavik and surrounding area. The Icelandic Meteorological Office recorded nearly 800 earthquakes in just one day. For example, 2 big earthquakes were felt all the way in Reykjavik and along the southern coast. People there said that their windows and stuff inside their homes were shaking. The biggest tremor was a magnitude of 5.2, which is pretty significant. And the town of Grindavik, which is a population of roughly 4,000 people, has seen a magma corridor develop underneath the town following this spat of seismic activity. Magma, the molten rock beneath Earth's surface, can lead to eruptions if it breaks through the top. Now, here's a fascinating bit of history to add to the mix. An old satellite image of Grindavik from back in 1957 shows an ancient crack running right through the city. And guess what? It's exactly like the one that was recently recorded. This just simply shows that the recent seismic activity has reactivated the same fault, which is a line of weakness. Residents of Grindavik left over the weekend, although they were allowed to return for a brief 5-minute period to quickly fetch some of their valuables, including things like pets that were left behind in the rush of the evacuation.
Grindavik það ekki? Heyrðu, þið bara farið inn og út til komst með svæðið. Ef þið heyrið sírnur eða lúður eða eitthvað svona, þá bara strax út úr bænum. Sleppu öllu bara strax út úr bænum.
But since the southern peninsula of Iceland has experienced a series of volcanic and seismic activities, the impact has been shared all over social media, capturing just how deep the tremors are and the intensity of the damage it's causing. Roads and golf courses have opened up, houses are damaged, and people are finding massive hollow spaces behind the cracks from the earthquake. And there's this one video where you can hear the terrifying sound of magma burrowing below the ground. A short but shocking quake was even captured while the mayor of Grindavik was being interviewed. But not only are these earthquakes leaving a visible mark on the roads and houses, but their impact is also being felt in a less tangible, yet equally significant way, economically. The Icelandic krona has fallen from 132 ISK to 141 against the US dollar. At the time of recording, Iceland has not yet experienced the volcanic eruption residents are preparing for. The Icelandic Met Office says it might take a few days for any magma to reach the surface. If it does break through, however, the lava would likely flow away from Grindavik, which is a small relief. But it's been going on for a few days now, and scientists thought that the magma, sitting about 800 meters deep, might have broken through the surface by now. Yet it hasn't. However, they did announce that there's still a possibility of eruption since earthquakes are still continuously happening, although they're not very big and the activities have reduced sharply. And even though the ground isn't shifting as much as before and there's less magma moving into that ground area, it's still a bit early to say for sure if an eruption will happen or not. But you know what? The fact that nothing's erupted yet might actually be a good sign. It could mean it might not actually happen after all. Let me explain why. In Iceland, these things called magma intrusions happen quite often. It's where magma from beneath the Earth's surface forces its way into or between existing rock formations, potentially leading to volcanic activity. Like what I've said earlier, this island is situated on top of two tectonic plates that are constantly pulling apart from each other. So the crust is essentially continuously opening up, which allows space for magma to enter because it is the Earth's purpose to fill those opened gaps and close back the crust. Think of it like our body healing a cut. The crust splits and the magma comes up to fill in that space, kind of like how our skin forms a scab to heal. Most of the time in Iceland, things just calm down and the eruption doesn't go ahead. But sometimes, if there is a lot of pressure and heaps of magma, it can lead to an eruption. So fingers crossed, if nothing big happens in the next few days, it might mean the magma is just cooling down and solidifying. It's like the Earth is healing itself from the inside, sealing up those splits in the crust. Experts on the matter, meanwhile, point out that the eruption that happened in Fagradalsfjall in 2021 had a 3-week gap between the initial ascent of the magma and the eventual eruption. That eruption, which occurred in the same area near Grindavik, was preceded by over 40,000 quakes of varying degrees over that 3-week period. It was a relative non-event when it finally did erupt, with locals referring to it as a tourist eruption, a minor eruption that has plenty of points to watch the show from. So let's wrap it up. So far, this event, or potential non-event, who knows, has seemingly been more of a product of social media and the quest for likes and clickbait than anything. Yes, the town has been evacuated as a precautionary measure, and yes, there are some cracks that appeared in Grindavik, but it's also a town that was quite literally built on an old magma tunnel. There's been a lot of false and highly dramatic news media that has been going around about Iceland not being safe, but this just isn't true. I think it's important to understand that there's only a small area around one town in Iceland that is in the danger zone, and the rest of Iceland is fine. Take it from this guy.
People from all over the world are texting me and saying, I hope you're safe. I'm still in Iceland. I'm probably safer than you. There's only one town in Iceland that is not safe, and the volcano might eat up. And all the people from that town have been evacuated.
All right, everybody, thanks for watching. We intend to continue to update this story if there is an eruption and dive into the impact. But for now, let's hope that everybody in Iceland stays safe. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you could do me a big favor, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Let me know what you think in the comment section. So guys, we just recently launched this channel and we noticed that 99.9% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if you enjoyed this video, we need your help in growing this channel. By subscribing, that would help us keep the lights on and make sure that our crews have jobs in these uncertain times. So please hit that subscribe button, and we promise to make more quality videos that I'm sure you're going to love.